Hello and welcome to the Linebreak Rugby podcast. Me, your host, Sav. I forgot to introduce myself during the actual recording, so I've decided to add myself in post-production and introduce myself as Sav, obviously. I have a couple of links that I want you to click down below in the description. Hopefully you can follow those through onto Reddit and just have a look and see what I'm talking about. But otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast. I'll leave it to Podcast Sav to take it away. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Linebreak Rugby podcast. Today we have Barbz and Alex. Barbz is our resident Australian who's actually been absent for quite a long period of time. And we're actually going to lead off with him first off and talk about our players of the week. And I think he has them lined up. Barbz, do you have them lined up?
Yes, I've got my one good player and one negative, or needs improvement, I think we say.
We don't want to be too negative.
Yeah, there's some improvement to be made for this one, but to start with the positive, I think Foley had a really good game. There was things like goal kicking still and kicking out of hand, but in terms of first five, and taking options and taking it to the line flat, he did that really, really well. He caused a lot of problems for New Zealand. And my one player that needs improvement would actually be Reece Hodge, who's pretty much like a favourite of all Aussie fans. We all want to see Reece Hodge do well, but I think he had pretty ordinary game, to be honest. He made some, in defence, he just seemed out of practice at inside centre, and every time the ball was come up, they'd run at him, he would just angle in and always coming in, and that first try with Ben Smith just absolutely embarrassing him was where he did that as well. And it happened another time.
I rewatched that with Ben Smith, and Smith just kicked past him, and it looked like Hodge wasn't anywhere near.
Yeah, so he keeps angling in rather than sort of being able to drift.
We're focusing on the negative a little bit. Alex, so you've watched the game as well, haven't you?
I have, yes.
You have? Okay. I was just wondering whether any of you noticed Dane Haylor-Petty, because I thought in comparison to Reece Hodge, when he was carrying the ball, he actually brought quite a lot of energy to the game. I was watching Reece Hodge, when he was carrying, he'd kind of get hit by the first guy and then go down, whereas Haylor-Petty would push and push and push and keep wiggling. Same as Karevi, actually.
I think Kieran Reid laid out Hodge twice. I thought it was the replay had doubled up, but he got absolutely creamed twice in his own half. Haylor-Petty comboed really well with Foley, I thought. Foley always seemed to be hitting Haylor-Petty and strong carries, and he got one offload as well away, which was pretty nice.
Yeah, and I think that the Australia's first try that I was just rewatching was actually a Foley DHP kind of combination. They orchestrated it, and then Coleman just found himself in the right place at the right time. I think it was Coleman.
Arnold, but same thing, might as well. Two lanky bastards.
Yeah, well, it was a very tall bloke that decided to reach out and put it down. But it was it was very well coordinated, really.
Well, Foley was doing it all night. Took a ball flat, fast to the line, and he straightened up and he sucked in Kieran Reid, which left Arnold with a one-on-one with Matt Todd and busted through the tackle and reached out.
Yeah, and I thought other than that, Todd had a very good game. I know you want to talk later about the reffing, perhaps, but
he had a good game.
I thought Matt Todd had a good game. Right, Alex, do you want to? We'll briefly move on to Alex, and he can talk about his players. Now we're talking about the whole weekend. I'm assuming Barbz may not have seen your players, Alex. I don't know.
Probably not. Well, so obviously there's the European games going on this week, and two players in particular caught my eye. I am guilty of only having seen a couple of games, so I've picked a player from each game. So the player who I think impressed me quite a lot this weekend, and actually has been impressing me for a while, I think Mako Vunipola is normally, of the Vunipola brothers, you'd think that, Billy's obviously the great player, and for a long time he's been standing out, but I feel like for the last couple of weeks, Mako's been the one in the spotlight. He's been the one sort of really impressing. He's great scrummaging right now. He's making breaks, which is like, Billy's great. Like, Billy gets a big crash ball and he'll make ground. Like, Mako is the guy who like starts standing still and still makes a fair bit of ground. He's definitely like starting to catch my eye. Like right now, I would say he's like the form Vunipola, but I don't know. Like this, I mean, obviously they're both great.
They're both pretty good.
Yeah, but Mako, like he's obviously he's lost a lot of weight. He's looking really healthy. Is he the form prop in the Premiership? Maybe, I'm not sure. There's probably some argument there, but I think he really impressed me. And there's not much more to it. I just think Mako is just like, he's really impressing me. great.
I think for a prop, he offers a lot more than our traditional English props. He's actually very mobile and a very good ball carrier. Whereas, I mean, then
And
again, Marler and Cole have done well at ball carrying, but I think Mako brings a whole new handling dimension as well.
yeah, no, I think he seems a lot harder to contain. Like Marler makes ground. If Marler makes ground, it's like pure strength. Like he's just a huge guy and he's just driving through. Like Mako is, he's wily, he's sneaky, and he's great at the breakdown, which is good when you consider like England's arguable problems at 7 and at the breakdown. Getting someone who can turn over ball. I think Mako is showing that he can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I thought he was great this weekend. In comparison, I feel kind of bad because I'm really negative about Marlon Yard at Premiership level. Like at club level, I think Marlon Yard consistently fails to deliver. At international level, he's being utilised correctly. So there's obviously something going wrong, either in the coaching or in the way he's being utilised. But I think he had a pretty bad game. There's a lot of people don't agree with that.
I think Yard. I mean, I don't know whether Barb's seen much of him, but I think there's two different Yards, and the Yard that you see at international level is Eddie Jones knows that he's just a finisher and he's very quick 1-on-1 maybe, and he'll score the try if you get it to him in space. But Harlequins kind of need you to be more creative. They don't. I don't know. They don't have that big bruising pack that England will have. So Harlequins actually rely on you to create your own space, and I think he really struggles when it comes to that. He's not able to create his own space. His sidestep's quite slow, and he needs to be up at speed for the sidestep to work, I think.
Yeah, and I'd like to snatch it because this is often a defense that is raised with Yard. Everyone's like, well, he's a natural finisher, and I think Yard had 3 golden finishing opportunities, and I kind of think he cocked them all up. Like obviously, one of them was disallowed as a try. Like it was called back. The TMO was like, there's no obvious grounding. But if you watch the lead up to the play, and basically it's sort of the same thing in all 3 instances, I think, where basically everyone's like, oh yeah, like it was a great, like Edinburgh played out of their skin. It was a really great game in that sense. Like Edinburgh really fronted up defensively, but Yard is a good enough player that he should be able to, with the distance that he was catching the ball with, like to go before he scored a try, there should be no doubt in the referee and TMO's mind that he has scored. Like a natural finisher there would be absolutely no doubt. Mm-hmm. And twice on the weekend, it was like a 50-50 thing, and it just didn't go for him. And the third time, this is the thing with Yard. Like right now, at the moment, I feel like maybe he's being trained to do it, but he's not looking to go around people. He's looking to go through people. And obviously they want him to be a physical presence, but as a winger, you should back yourself to go around people as well as through them. And at the end of the Quins game, and full disclosure, I am a Quins fan. I am not happy about what happened yesterday, but he had, and completely, like, Quins messed this up for themselves. He had a 2 versus 1. He had Marchand on his inside, and instead of passing it to Marchand and guaranteeing the score, he tried to go through someone and got knocked out.
Okay.
He's just I know he's good. I know he's a good player, but he's just not performing, and it's really upsetting. And I don't know if it's a him issue, if it's a coaching issue.
It might be a mental thing. Actually, I don't know. I feel like because he's got the skill set in certain areas, but
yeah, it feels like right now he's becoming this very physical winger, and I just feel like he's, rather than going for a try where it's like he doesn't even need to go around them. He doesn't need to run around them. He just needs to get on either side of them and be able to like get his arms free, so it's not like tucked to his chest and he's just coming down on it. Like it's just, I don't know. Like as someone who maybe, the TMO, there's a plague issue at the moment where like 50-50s, it really, or like if there's no certainty, then it's just a crapshoot about whether you score or not. He's just not obvious enough when he scores a try, I guess, which is a weird complaint to make, but I feel like this isn't something that I'm not angry at him for that performance. Like overall, I feel like this is something that I'm seeing in Yard's game now, where he's not like, yes, he'll get to the point where he scores a try, but it's not obvious. Like it comes 50-50.
Yeah,
it's not pretty.
I'm gonna bounce off that to. I haven't really got a positive or a negative. I mean, you could perceive it as an improvement sort of thing. But I want to talk about Henry Spate really. from that game, and I don't know if it's a fair reflection of him as a player. But yesterday there was one decision that obviously is really obvious that it ended up being the wrong decision. He came flying
12-point
out.
turnaround.
Yeah, he came flying out to make that intercept. If he makes that intercept, everybody's cheering. It's a great shout, and he's read the game really well. He missed it by a hand's width or something.
I watched that again. He had to go for the intercept because, again, just what Hodge was doing, he's angled right in while Linnet Brown was actually going to go. If he didn't take even at the ball, he was going to miss the tackle anyway because the way his body was coming in, the way his hips were lined in.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, he tried to take it in the breadbasket, with his sort of cupped hands. He should have, palms down. If he reaches out and snatches that, he's gone. But he's trying to take it on the chest.
If his arm's out with a little bit of a tilt up and try and flick the ball, maybe he holds onto it and just goes the length. But yeah, he had a little baby basket or the bread basket there that he was trying to just nestle it in. And Linnet Brown managed to just swivel round and take it and go under over the line anyway. But I thought there was obvious defensive frailties after that, and I think his head was a bit gone. Sevilla and Ben Smith kind of walked around him and smashed over him a couple of times.
It was just I think it was a very strange selection because he'd been playing NRC. We have our own little domestic comp here, and I mean, he would. You wouldn't even call him in the top 6 in that competition at the moment. But he's got the experience. Yeah.
He's been injured for a long time, and now he's back now and he's playing. And I don't know. Is he actually playing well? You said he's not in the top 6. Is he still playing well though?
I mean, I may be exaggerating, but I'd put in the NRC there'd be quite a few wingers ahead of him that are better, and even Morahan been in the squad longer without injury, and he's probably due for a call up. And he just won with Perth Spirit, so good for Perth Spirit. They're not getting selected.
Yeah, so, but he interests me because I like Henry Spate as a player.
Fantastic player.
Yeah, but I do think that, I mean, if we look at the Australian World Cup team, and this is obviously a long way back, Adam Ashley Cooper on the wing, he's almost the polar opposite to me of Henry Spate, and they did. Even in game style, just because Ashley Cooper is quite defensive, he'll finish from 5 yards out. He won't finish from 50 yards out, sort of thing. He's not rapid.
Not anymore.
But he just does the simple things well. Whether Spate's kind of a flash in the pan, something brilliant might happen, or you get the defensive frailties that we had yesterday.
Yeah, the injuries for Spates really just disrupted his development at test level, or even chances, and he's quite a talent. It's just getting that experience.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's what Cheika wanted for a game that perhaps most people would written off. He's just put him in for a bit of experience. I don't know. It could be a smart move long term.
I'm just happy he selected a winger on the wing for once.
Well, yeah, that's another part of it. So if we roll on, and I know that we have a Salt and Piper segment on this show, where everybody we're only going to bring this segment out when actually something egregious happens, I suppose we will say, with the reffing over the weekend. But there's been some pretty horrible reffing, and I think Barbz he has some lamenting to do for Australia at the moment.
Well,
go ahead.
Salt is encouraged, or
salt is encouraged.
Salt is encouraged indeed. Yeah.
The Haylett Petty Henry Spates try. That one's I'm not even going to bother because I think everyone's got an opinion, and I'm too biased to make a judgment. So I think it just sucks because it deserved to be a try, and then it felt like here we go, and then. If that happened to me, if Sevilla was my player, I'd be filthy if he got checked like that. So I just can't make an unbiased judgment.
So if I before you obviously roll on to I'll just cut you mid-flow. Before you roll on to the other problems, from my point of view, DHP does step, but I still think Spate was going to score anyway.
So I don't know that it was a disruption. Like as a sort of unbiased third party, I think he did step into it. Do I think do I think it would have affected the try in any way? No, I don't.
So I think a smart call maybe let it play, let the try happen.
But I think that has to rest on DHP, and although we've sung his praises earlier, he did mess that one up a little bit.
Yeah, it's just part of being a Wallaby fan. So when you play the All Blacks, you're just waiting. You're waiting for that thing that's going to just fuck you over and cost the game. And maybe I thought it was Spade, but the boys hung in there, and I was like, oh, this could be on. And I'm like excited, running around the house high-fiving anyone who's there. And then the TMO comes back, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then, yeah, that was it. You just sort of treading water till you slip under and drown as a Wallaby fan. Oh, well.
So, yeah, chat about some of the other ones. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, Nigel Owens, I think he had a really ordinary game, and that's not just because we lost, although it probably is. I think my problem with Nigel Owens is the best ref in the game, without a doubt, 2 years ago. I think these days he probably cares about his image too much. You can see he's very conscious of how he looks or how he'll come off, and I think as a result of that, he oftentimes he gets flustered, and at the same time, he'll also make bold, big, brave calls. Like that penalty on halfway. Why? Like that can be just managed with one talking to Kieran Reid. Doesn't happen, but I have to penalise him, do something a referee hasn't done that. I haven't seen that in.
I think that was partially because it was like there'd been problems with New Zealand and the fact that it was Kieran Reid, like the captain, who did it. Like I feel like if a non-captain had done that, it would have been a talking to. But the fact that it was Kieran, that seemed to be what he was saying. Like the fact that Kieran Reid, as captain, had committed this atrocity meant that there was a penalty on the halfway.
Owens certainly stamped his authority in that moment. Anyway, he wanted to be the person who went no.
Would have. Yeah, and it would have been a big moment because Hodge bangs them over from 50, although he hasn't banged any over in international rugby despite 4 attempts. God damn it! That would have, if he put that through, that's big save for the Wallabies. 10 points, but and then at the same time, I think all refs do it, but Owens last night you could see it with the Wallabies. He just likes to even the scorecard. I think he just
sometimes
he's like, they've had some bad luck and they've had some 50-50s against them, so I'll give them the next 50-50. He doesn't referee just on the flow or as each individual decision on its own. He sort of has a holistic view, which maybe that's good. I don't know, just a personal gripe. And then specifically on the weekend, the ruck interpretation. I'll start with the Wallabies. I think, the amount of times a Wallaby is in support and they run past it and then they realise they've got to clean out, so they fall over backwards into the ruck to secure possession.
Everybody off their feet. Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's I guess the way he is reffing it. But I guess Matt Todd, the big problem with the Wallabies going in without a fetcher in Fardy or Pocock. Matt Todd just had an absolute feast. But I guess the 2 points, I think the point of like holding on is they've got to be holding on. You have to be ripping the ball. Like Matt Todd has to have his hands on the ball and rip it from the player, and they don't let him go. Twice he was in beautiful position, great body height, everything, but he wasn't actually on the ball. His hands were sort of playing, slappies or, scratching the ground, looking for it, but he wasn't actually ripping it, and he got the penalty twice for that. The second one was particularly shocking because Crotty got there first, Krevy cleaned him out, Todd got there, and Spade and Foley knocked him off the ball, and then he had a second go, and he put one fingertip on it, and then he got a penalty, and I was like, get fucked. But
I rewatched that clip, I personally had a look at it, and my view of the second go, because he did have a second go at it, is that because the clear out, they managed to go off their feet. Because they were off their feet at that point, he went for a second go, and I was like, maybe he's allowed a second go because there's no other rucker there. So I was
both Spade and Foley.
It was a combination of confusing things going on in one ruck. So I wasn't really sure how I'd give that myself.
And I guess finally scrums. I think Australia were a protected species at scrum time from Nigel. Had about 7 resets, one of them or something, and at 18 minutes, CO. Our scrum was getting pumped about 5 steps backwards, and then CO hinges like an ironing board folding up, and he pangs Franks for falling to the ground. And he said his legs weren't underneath him. Maybe the more technical, props would be able to correct me, but I don't think his legs could move that fast.
Yeah, because if someone folds like that easily, you're never going to be able to keep up. It was, and Franks got quite annoyed actually, and had a little discussion with him afterwards about it.
Yeah, he did actually speak up. He was like, "How? Like, if he's going backwards, how?" And it did, like,
I meant to jog forward, am I?
Yeah.
It's a scrum.
Jog forward while bent at the hips.
Yeah.
So hopefully a bit of sugar with my salt there through some.
No, I do agree. For quite a bit, it was confusing, the tit for tat, that because Owen, I do agree with you that on the Owens, he likes to make it a 50-50. Everybody has had their little piece of luck for the game, and he does that quite a lot. But I do think that makes everybody come away with it going, oh well, you had this and we had that, so let's call it even. So he gets away with it a little bit, I think, in that way.
Yeah. I think Dane Cole's, that try was never being awarded, no matter what the TMO tried.
Yeah, exactly. I think if Foley had grabbed him by the neck, maybe it would have been and dragged him backwards.
I still don't come down on side here. I think that if Foley's arm was around Dane Cole's right arm, if Dane Cole's right arm had been free, he would have been able to reach out and get the ball down.
Oh yeah, but no, maybe that's true. But as in, I don't think he was ever going to give it, because it was one of those 50-50s. He's just going to give it back to Australia because he just was harsh on Australia earlier.
Yeah,
I
think those ones you really need to play them at full speed. I hate the slow mo. It really, I think there's some study somewhere that shows it highlights intent or over exaggerates intent when you
because you don't know where you're putting your hands at that exact moment at full speed, do you? Really?
Yeah. So
it's quite interesting. Anyway, so we've had that side. We've had the Southern Hemisphere discussion. Alex, do you want to talk? Because I haven't seen the Northern Hemisphere games or the European games this weekend. Do you want to talk to us about some reffing?
So there was one in particular. So I'd like to say, first of all, I think that with the Nigel Owens performance, we have quite an interesting case study that we can have here between. I don't want to point fingers anyone in particular, but So I think with returning to the Quins Edinburgh game, and straight up, I want to say this was not a game that Quins lost because of the refereeing. Quins lost this game because they just weren't accurate enough. But Romain Poit had a bad game, and I know he's one of those referees who gets a lot of stick for maybe not being up to standard. People don't like Poit. I'm sometimes he makes bad calls. I don't think he's this abysmal guy who needs to be flung from World Rugby. But this game yesterday, he was on another level. Oh, he just lost control, and I think the interesting case study is Nigel Owens. You say as you were saying, Barbz, the problem with him right now maybe is he's a little concerned with his image, and that image of the referee who does not take any bullshit with players, and he will smack them down if they talk back to him, right? And I think as a result of that, you see some odd calls around discipline that you wouldn't see from other referees, which can sometimes feel a little odd. Whereas with Poit yesterday. He is not a player. He's not a referee who handles a scrappy game well at all. If players start jibing and getting at each other, all he sort of does is he locks down and he just doesn't want to talk to the players and he just wants to focus on technicalities. But then he gets flustered.
For Moore.
Sorry, what?
Justice for Stephen Moore.
Justice for Stephen Moore. I mean, and honestly, this is actually something that I think is worth talking about, because there was a moment towards the end of the game where obviously people talk about how Moore gets ignored by referees, right?
Oh yeah, we're not talking about it. We can see it happening.
Yeah, and frankly, sometimes maybe Stephen Moore deserves it a little bit but it's still there's that question of referees completely ignoring players if they've had enough, and I think that Poit is guilty of that probably more than other referees. Yeah. But yesterday's game was incredibly scrappy. I don't know what got in people. People got frustrated. Maybe Quins were annoyed because Edinburgh got way ahead of them early on. And Quins was just. Quins are not having a good season, but it was a stressful game. There was a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments. There was a really stupid tackle by Charlie Walker on the Scottish player. They both got sent off, but completely stupid. It was a shambles of a game.
And he was your player of the week a couple of weeks ago.
He was. But no, he had all the teams sort of melted. Well, Quins melted down, and Edinburgh really took advantage of that. But Poit just couldn't handle the game, and he made a lot of very suspect calls. In particular, there was a moment where obviously okay, look, I support a team which has Mike Brown in it, which means there is gonna be an argument or a fight at some point.
Yes.
Because he's on the team, and there was a moment where
and Joe Marler.
Who actually behaved pretty well this game, but yeah, there was a moment where a Scottish player had run. I've got to try and remember this stage of this play. This is towards the end of the game. A Scottish player had run out with the ball. Mike Brown had he was out of bounds. Mike Brown picked up the ball to take a quick line out. He was going to run back down the line and throw it back in. He got tackled by the Edinburgh scrum half, out of bounds, which caused a ruckus because Mike Brown. He wasn't very pleased about the fact that he had been tackled early and prevented from taking the long line out. General fuss. This is like probably the fifth big sort of scuffle that had kicked out during the fight, and White is obviously he's lost control of the game. He's not controlling the players anymore. And what happens is he eventually penalizes Harlequins for stopping Edinburgh from taking a quick line out. Right? So he flips this around, and that is a wrong decision, right? Absolutely, like that is the wrong decision. And what happens is James Horwell, captain, approaches him and says to him, "Sir, wasn't that ours?" Right? But at this point, Romain Poit has just shut down. He's not listening to the player, and he just dismisses him. Right?
Is that a straight red?
Just sends him off. But
You questioned me.
Yeah, like that for me is the question of how. First of all, like there needs to be a balance, right? The referee needs to be able to talk with players, and there has been a sort of a trend recently, particularly you see it at international level, where like if a particular coach is just chatting shit at them, the referee just starts to ignore them. And normally it's like if you're on the opposite team or even on the team whose person is getting ignored, you're like, okay, fine, fair play. He was being a bit annoying, but. Yeah. Occasionally, you get a situation like this where a player is trying to calmly, like, say to a referee, "Sir, you've got that wrong," and he's just being outright ignored. And that does, I think, I would say, like, mostly, again, like, Quins lost this game for themselves, but that was a moment where the referee made not just a bad call, but a completely wrong call. And, like, the commentators noticed, the players noticed. It almost feels like if a TMO can pipe up for other stuff, why can't a TMO pipe up for that and be like, "Sorry, you've mixed that up"? That's a whole other bag of issues. But yeah, he had I would encourage, like, if you can find a replay, like it is an interesting game to watch in the same way that a car crash, you can't take your eyes away from it. Like, it really is a great example of a referee losing control of a game because it's too scrappy. And I really feel like we have sort of black and white here. We had Nigel Owens perhaps being a little too like no fighting, and you had Romain Poit just being like, "I'm gonna get in my little theory box and just talk about like playing rugby." And it was a it's hard to put into words how out of control the game was towards the end. Like, he definitely lost it.
Bring back Steve Walsh. Yeah. But yeah, he had the best player management. Whatever you think about his refereeing in terms of the rules of the game, fine. But he always had good player management. Yeah, I think some games he definitely deserves to be ignored because we'll defend, Wallabies will defend for, 10 minutes, give away 7 penalties on their try line. We'll get the ball up to halfway, they give away 1 penalty, and he'll be like, "That's a yellow, sir, isn't it?" So he does it to himself in some games. I think the problem most people I have is when it's a new game and he literally hasn't spoken at all and the ref is judging them from previous games. I think that's fundamentally wrong, but
No, definitely. I guess the point that I was trying to get at is there needs to be some sort of protocol where the referee has to listen to the captain when he speaks. Like, you can tell him, like, "Stop talking to me about this certain point." But, like, if someone comes to you with a new issue, the referee should have to listen there. Because that was a case where the player was trying to not, like, correct an interpretation. Like, it was like, "Sir, this person was out." Not the other way. Like, that's not the kind of thing that's like,
Nick flips through my boot into the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was an interesting moment in that I think that sort of thing, there needs to be some consideration about how that's handled, especially with this growing trend of referees responding to slightly more annoying players or constantly niggling players by just completely ignoring them.
No, and I think, well, I want to bring it back to Quinn's, but I think Marler was, well, not only did he lose his head, but his conversation, I think it goes both ways, because sometimes a player just wants to talk to the ref too much, constantly, and I think more, and like you said earlier, more sometimes brings it on himself. He's talking to the ref too much. And if you're not the captain, which is obviously not Stephen Moore, and you're talking to the ref, so Franks did it in the New Zealand Oz game, it just, the refs don't like it. They don't want to be questioned. They don't want to be talked to.
I guess
ever.
Front rowers get a little bit of leeway if it's like a tech point at scrums.
Yeah, they'll
refs.
get a little bit of chat maybe, but yeah, I mean it goes for people in general. They don't like to be questioned, and so when it happens, there's obviously going to be a little bit of problem.
No.
Yes. Look at the autumn internationals now, because it's actually quite a busy schedule, and I think Barbz brought that up to me. I didn't really think about it, but it is quite packed.
Yeah, for the Wallabies.
For the Wallabies, yeah, they've got a game. Well, they're basically playing the Six Nations, aren't they? Are you playing
pretty
Scotland
much?
or not?
Yeah, no Italy, so it's not a real Six Nations without Italy, without the free win.
But you are playing the majority. It's a Five Nations for the Oz then.
Wales, Scotland, France, Ireland, England, and I believe straight in a row. Breaks.
It looks pretty intense, that schedule, and I'm just wondering, are you bringing? Is it a 30-man squad? What's the size that's coming across?
I don't know what we can afford. I haven't looked yet, but I imagine it'll be a few. But we can also, with the new rules, we've got backups like Horwell over there and whatnot. So
That's true. He's
steal a few.
He's just sitting there ready to come across. What are the new rules? Talk me through them, because is it the 40 cap thing? What's the deal?
It's Giddo's law, I think, or is it?
Yeah.
And essentially, if you've played like around 60, I don't know if it's strictly 60, but if you've had 60 caps for Australia, you can be called into the Wallabies.
All right, so you'll be fine in France then.
Yeah, yeah. That's what
How many has Beale got at this point?
I think Beale does have it. I don't know, but I saw somewhere else.
He probably has
caps.
it in quotation marks, as in. Yeah, why not put him in? Sort of.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's why he was sent to Wasps, so they'd have backup when they came across this season.
And Checker will do what he wants anyway, even if they're on 30 caps. He doesn't justify it.
So what are you expecting from these 5 games? Are you expecting a 5-0 whitewash, or are you hoping for a couple of wins and go home with everybody still alive, sort of deal?
I guess my hope, at the very minimum, we beat England. There's so much pride we need to get back. We need to go. Yeah, that's. But no, I genuinely think as a very reasonable goal should be the Grand Slam. All 5. They can win it. It'll be really tough, and maybe it's my bias, definite, but it's certainly achievable, that goal. A good effort would be 4 out of 5, and I think 3 out of 5 is probably not good enough considering the year we've had. They need to make up for what they've done.
I'd like to, and I don't know if you're really aware of this, but obviously Scotland are quite pissed off, shall we say, with what happened at the World Cup. Glasgow are playing quite well. Edinburgh have just beaten Quins and are playing pretty well. Scotland as a whole, their rugby team is looking pretty nifty. They've got a couple of players playing for Saracens. I think the 12th of November, you guys are in for a bit of a passionate game, shall we say?
I think certainly, yeah. They're going to be nasty. That's going to be a tough one, and I think they're better off going with an ambush, which they've beaten us plenty. Like Newcastle, and I think in Murrayfield, or where was the last time they beat us, 2010 or something, or they beat us 2012 in Newcastle and 2010 in Scotland. They certainly can beat us, especially they hit us where it hurts in the forwards. And that's, I guess, my other expectation, or I really want them to have a proper forward pack, because England trounced us, this whole rugby championship, slowly getting there, but I'm just sick of, we all, Quaid, no Foley, pick a 10, and no matter what 10 you put in there, if our forwards get pummeled like they usually do, they're just going to have a bad day. And you can see the forwards versus New Zealand in that third game gave a bit of a platform for Foley to really do some good stuff. So I think I've got it listed out here. The second rowers have to front up, and it looks like with Coleman and Arnold And even Simmons, when he came on, oh, that was great to watch. Simmons looked fired up for once. We actually won a few lineouts, and I think we stole one, which, hooray. And Tamani and some of the carries, Stephen Moore, I haven't seen him run like that since last year or year beginning.
I was going to say, like, Stephen Moore was impressive in that game. Like, he actually, like, he looked like someone who I would pick as captain of a team, which is not always true.
And I actually really rated Tamani's carries. I was looking at him thinking, he reminded me of Billy Vunipola a bit. He was crashing through people that I thought most players don't do that.
I was worried because versus Argentina last week or the week before, he was doing great carries, very strong, topped the tackle count at 17 or more, I can't remember. But his carries were good, but the problem was he was breaking the tackle and going immediately to ground. And if you have a player like Matt Todd sweeping around, they're just straight on it when you do that. But his carries were actually good. I think they must have addressed it, or just I'm seeing things.
He secured the ball well. I'm going to put that down to Dean Mum's clearing out effort. Yeah, sure.
I'll get to Dean Mum.
I
think another one. The clean-outs, aside from the times when they weren't there, the clean-outs when they were largely a lot better from the forwards. They really knocked them off. Mm-hmm. Cleaned up off the ball. A lot of times you watch someone like Simmons or Dean Mum just go hit him with the shoulder and fall off, like what Spate and Foley did that one we were talking about earlier. And finally, I want to see proper back row like we just saw then. Even not willing to accept like Dean Mum, but I think Australia, even though the pooper works great, we all love to see it, but the line out doesn't work. We don't have the carrying we do. Last night we had good carries, good line outs, proper clear outs. It just works a lot better having Tamani at 8 and having a 6, because Australia doesn't have proper second rows, so we need our 6 to be a third second row, and then we can match other teams. And since our open flankers are so good, they do double the work of a 6. So yeah, that's what I really preferred, that setup in the back row, the traditional.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I guess other than the forward pack, and then finally what I want to see is some speed out wide, and finally looking, with Haylett Petty now seems like a mainstay, not necessarily really quick, but instead of picking like Rob Horns and that, just defensive players on the wing, and Adam Ashley Cooper, picking Spate, picking Haylett Petty, getting some players who in space can find the line, which we really haven't had since James O'Connor left.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the idea that they start picking genuine wingers. James O'Connor, what's happening with him?
No idea.
The next big question.
Yeah, he hasn't hit rock bottom. He's not picking up girls in disabled toilets, so he's still got further to fall. But I don't know. You probably know his form better than me. I heard he's just having the time of his life in France and scoring hat-tricks or something for Toulon. That's what
I'm going to have to look up some James O'Connor stats, because I have no. I knew he was in France, but I didn't know what he was doing.
I think he's playing for Toulon. I don't know.
So I'm trying to think of whether Ireland have the tools to beat you or not. So I think Ireland, Australia will be
certainly.
To me, I'm interested.
Will Keith Earls be playing?
Won't who be playing?
Keith Earls.
Keith Earls.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be picked.
I just think there will be some GIF magic ready to be.
Some GIF magic for Keith Earls. I don't know his form at the moment. I saw someone tweet the other day saying, I feel bad for Keith Earls. So maybe he's not playing.
I just love that. The one poster in Rugby Union who just really has it in for him. Is it SDRE, I think? Or is that it?
Yeah. Someone who makes a lot of GIFs, and he makes them.
Love them.
I noticed when I went to message you to set up this pod, we'll just go off on a random chat. I saw that you set up the Queensland Reds highlights page.
For 2015.
Oh, 2000, was that the 2015 highlights page? Yeah,
yep.
There didn't seem to be anything there.
No, it wasn't. I looked.
That was genuinely one of the funnier jokes that I've seen when just randomly clicking around Reddit. So that one made me smile. That was good.
If only it was a joke. That's
So this comes to it again. What did you think of Phipps? Because the Guinea Cooper combination is one that everybody loves. But do you think Phipps and Foley are actually playing above that?
Yeah. See, I going into this test, I preferred Guinea Cooper. Foley played awesome, which creates headaches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Phipps, I don't think played that well. He does a very specific role and it works within the system. So I think people all they see is the errors, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
how crap's that? But they don't realise that he just busts his ass. So he's there. I think I wrote last year about Nick White, and he's a great player, and I like him.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't, like Phipps, when that ball's presented, Phipps is there and has thrown it within a second, whereas other halfbacks will get there and they'll take a second and a half and then throw a nice crisp pass on the chest, but you lose time, and the defence has that extra half second to realign. Phipps, you take that scatter shot, it'll be quick, you don't know where it's going, but you will get quick ball, and he busts his ass all game, so I do appreciate him, but yeah, just fuck some of the shit he does. Like that one he threw at Folau's feet that other game that bled us. Just, yeah, I don't know. He's not very popular. And Guinea was probably our best player this championship, so I think Guinea comes straight back in.
There was he had a fantastic TRC actually, Guinea in the end. I saw TJ. I was just talking about scrum halves. I saw TJ throw a couple of weird ones yesterday.
Yeah.
He threw one really weird one. I can't remember what happened, but basically he just got it and flung it as hard as he could. And I'm not sure whether he was under pressure or something. I can't really remember, but I just remember thinking...
I'm not sure. Yeah, I did a rewatch today, and I was just completely 100% focusing on the Wallabies, so they you know, all the mistakes of the All Blacks just blended in.
I think TJ had a great game. I think he was really fired up for both defence and attack, but he definitely threw a couple of strange ones. Putting
when they
players
transition, he got the ball where it needs to go, and they got 6 tries, and that's what the All Blacks do.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
When it's on, he gets the ball to the person who needs it, and and the charge down as well.
There was only one, and I'm gonna have to find a timestamp. I think possibly there was only one specific moment where I think he went the wrong way, and he gave it to, I think it was Ben Smith and Whitelock, who you'd expect to be completely solid under pressure. Those are two of the solid boys.
Yeah.
But they got isolated with Karevi and Dane Haylor-Petty, and they lost the ball on a penalty.
I lost my nut. Phipps did that as well once. We were going left, really good phase play. Another time we had about 5-6 players lined out on about 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. And Phipps just back right we go, and just nightmare. I lost it.
I actually think obviously the All Blacks won. I actually think the All Blacks defensively changed their game plan. I didn't think they needed to change their game plan. Their line speed was too quick, which left gaps that Foley could exploit.
Yeah, one time.
And I think
Todd rushed up on him.
If Beale had been there as well instead of Hodge, I actually think they could have been in trouble.
Yeah, someone who links up with Foley well, because there were the half chances, but there was no one who really sort of killed those off. Once we had so many half tackle busts and line breaks, but just then they scrambled really well. But yeah, no killer blow except for Spate, but we won't go back there.
Oh please! If Spate becomes good, he will really come good, and I'm hoping for Australia's sake he does.
That's the type of player that I don't think many people. Maybe Tamani is different, but someone who's really got. I don't like X Factor, but has attributes that other players don't have.
I like Tamani. The problem is obviously he's playing Brumbies, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, he did a pretty bad injury, so I don't think.
Yeah, he had an injury, but he's because he's playing with the Brumbies. Rather, he'll only ever finish from 15 meters out max, sort of deal.
Yeah, that's true, and he's not wearing blue, so he won't get selected.
Yeah.
He was absolutely he's a good player. A lot of people liked him, but at test level he wasn't. He had some good tests, some poor tests, but this year at Super Rugby he hit another level. He was absolutely. And the Brumbies first half of the season were pretty damn good, and a lot of that was to Tamani just. Hit another level with his play, but got injured, and the New Zealand teams are obviously a lot better as well. I mean, Tamani's probably just the standard New Zealand winger, to be honest, in terms of skill level, but it's the only one we've got.
Yeah, well, I'm reasonably excited for these All Nationals now, actually, and seeing what Australia can bring to the table. So yeah, from a
Yeah, it
British
will be
point of view,
interesting.
it's
I think
gonna be,
they've-
obviously
they've-
it's going to be a dust up, but I'm happy. I'm happy with the squad we have. I'm happy with the form that you've got coming into it.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I think we've through fire we've sort of moulded the team sort of where we left off with the 3-0 again, like England on us, and then the 2 Bledisloes, and then how we've sort of grown through this championship a little bit. They've sort of pulled them right of the ship a bit. I mean, even that South Africa game, the pack played pretty. I mean, we still lost, but you lose to the South African pack on the high veld, but they stood up a lot better than they usually do. So could be interesting.
Anyway, right. So we should wrap this up, I think.
Yeah, I think. I guess if I'll extend it a little bit.
Go for it.
Probably interesting. So that's what I was expecting from the tour. I think the Australian fan base as a whole, if I could speak for them, I think they're hoping a Grand Slam, 4 to 5 and all that. But what people really want to see from the Wallabies is a game plan versus England. And at time, and I'm sure they have one, but it doesn't look like they do sometimes. They've gone better, and last night they certainly had one if they weren't able to execute it. And then on top of that, they also need a plan B, because that's definitely a problem. When things don't work, we don't revert to a plan B. We just sort of keep it's checkerball, live by the checkerball, die by the checkerball.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And some selection that is building towards something. So it doesn't matter what it is. So they need to have selections that are building towards the team's record or building towards the future. But it just seems there's no consistency. Like Simmons will have a crap game, gets dropped, fair enough. Fardy, you're not doing what I'm telling you, you're dropped. And then other players like Folau was just really out of form all tournament and but protected. They won't shift him around so there's not that consistency across the players of what's expected. And I think if we can't get the Grand Slam, I think people will want just put in the young ones, give people a shot, because that's what I think the Australian fans are after.
Good. Well, I hope you don't pull it out versus England, but I hope that you.
I would trade the other 4 just to fucking slap you boys round.
Scotland, England, I'm happy for Scotland and England to beat you. The Irish, Irish is a 50-50. I don't know how Ireland's going to respond. They could be pretty damn emotional still about obviously they've lost a titan of the rugby in Anthony Foley, so they could be a little bit emotional still. We will see about all of that. I think it'll be quite interesting.
I think Scotland.
Talk to me about Scotland.
Yeah, I can accept Scotland beating us. I think, you know what, they're a little bit angry. Yeah, fair enough. England, nah. I would trade the other 4. I would trade the other 4 to make sure we beat England.
Really, you take that 1 and 4.
Yep. England are going to get a perfect year. Maybe it's a good shot, and it's all our fault for letting them get 3 on us at home. So we have a job to do to stop England having a clean sweep this year.
Oh, now you've said it, it makes more sense that you guys really, really do want to stop us.
It's on us.
It is a bit, isn't it? And we've got a little bit of an injury problem going on. So
I know. I'm not. I don't actually know. I love reveling in the misery of other teams, but I think what's happened now, Haskell as well. Itoje got injured. Haskell's doing dirty deeds at parties. Who else is getting rubbed out?
Itoje's hurt his arm. Haskell has been a campaign of the Daily Mail to try and attack him.
Great
journalism. He's been an idiot. He's been an idiot at a party or something.
Keep digging.
Cruz is injured as well. I think there's a lot of people that are just. There's a lot of injuries coming on, and obviously we've got Launchbury and Parling and Atwood, and the depth at second row is okay, but it's not the 2 best second rows.
Yeah, that's it. So.
Then again, Etzebeth and Diarra and Whitelock and Brodie Retallick. At the moment, Australia have the weakest second row pairing. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel good because we always have the weakest second row pairing, and I think our currently weak second row pairing is looking to get better. And they're kind of young, and But you may or may not know, but Simmons is my boy. I don't know. Once Simmons just amazes at just how a player could just be so what the hell. But once you get on board the Simmons train, you just
you're on there for
no
life.
breaks. You just it's it's a full-time job in the comments defending Simmons, but
It's like, but no, look at this specific clip. He's done this really well in the past.
Our line out worked and our scrums worked. Is that that's more than other players bring?
Yeah. Right, we're going to wrap it up. This has been the Linebreak Rugby podcast with myself. Alex has actually slipped away to play a sport of some sort. So I've been your host, Sav. It's been Barbz, the Australian bloke, who's been chatting. Do you want to say goodbye just before?
Goodbye everyone. And Dean Mum, release the photos
you have on Checker.
Yeah.
I think
maybe it's the clown photo. That was it.
Now that's out. Dean Mum's out. I thought it was quite interesting. So Fov or Corey, our New Zealander, brought some Maori to us. Can you bring anything special for a goodbye from Australia? What's an Australian goodbye?
What's the rating? Is there an adult rating on
that?
Yeah,
do what you want. We've got
see
a
you
free
later,
reign.
cunts.
See you later, cunts. I think that's probably the one word that makes it through the adult filter. And just universally, I say universally aside from Australia, is just not used.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's solid. Right, we'll stop the recording there because I think the music's been playing on.